Yeah, okay, this one came flying in here, and it wasn't there when I started because the judge ordered it done like today. Okay, so this is going to make a lot more sense. Let me cue this one up because she was ordered to get this done by the end of the day, and she got it done, obviously. So let's cue this up so that we can talk about it. I wasn't sure if it was going to hit the docket, but Lindsay Halligan, it looks like, got it in 4 pages. All right, so we'll come back to that in a quick second. But let's understand what's happening because you can see there was a lot going on. The Trump Mar-a-Lago saga continues. Special Master Raymond Dearie getting a little irritated, issuing some deadlines and making the Trump defense move quickly. We're going to talk about this. Here is Trump's defense notice. And you might be asking yourself, what is this document? I mean, we've previously covered the various documents that have been flying all over the place in this case. And prior to today, there was another joint document that was submitted by the government prosecutors. And they said, Judge Special Master Raymond Dearie, we have our list of our disputed entries. Remember, they took dozens of boxes out of Trump's residence. The prosecution says we're entitled to everything. Trump says, no, you're not. We have privilege over this, or we have executive authority over these materials, or these are declassified, or whatever. But there was a disagreement about a whole list of materials. Special Master Raymond Dearie said, get together, you two people, hash it out, put it together in a big list and send that into the court. They did that. That deadline was ordered by October 20th. And we read through that entirely. We read through the joint message that hit the docket. Well, the problem is Trump's defense says it wasn't accurate. So the judge, Special Master Raymond Dearie, ordered both sides get together, smash your heads, write up a joint memo, send in the joint memo telling me what you both have agreed to, and then I'll take it from there. But Trump's team says that what the prosecutors filed isn't accurate. So they had to agree about the disputes, but now they are having disputes about the agreement about the disputes. Do you understand how complicated this is getting now? It's like inception levels of dispute. Let's take a look at the actual document because this is what happened from Trump's team. I'm trying to think about the order I want to do this. And let's hit it this way. This is the first letter that came in. And so let's cue this one up. Let's take a look here. This is from James Trusty, not from Christina Bobb. Trump's lawyer, James Trusty, sends a letter to Raymond Dearie. It's regarding the filter document team's update. He says, Dear Judge, as noted in our prior submission that we read through yesterday, the parties met and conferred about the filter documents that we talked about on October 19th. Up until we got receipt of the government's October 20th filing, we anticipated there would be a joint submission and an exchange between the parties preceding that joint submission to confirm both parties' positions. Uh-oh. This means that they say, we didn't see that document that the prosecutors filed with you. He says, ordinarily, the way that we've dealt with this in the past is they draft up a document. They send the document over to us. We say, yes, we've got to change here or change there. And then we send it back to them. And then they send it to you. That didn't happen. We just had a meeting. They drafted something up and they just filed it. And they say, we see it now, and now we object. We're supposed to be having a joint submission and to confirm both of our positions. It says that's consistent with the process that was undertaken for the October 3rd joint submission with the filter team. Instead, the government filed its own log and it presented its legal positions on the documents for which there was a dispute between the parties. So they say, unfortunately, the log submitted by the government is not fully accurate as to our positions on various things. And so in light of these facts, Trump will file our position on the documents that remain in dispute by the close of business on October 24th. That is Trump's defense and his notice. Now, what happened was Judge Raymond Dearie came out and he said, that's not good enough for me. I need something from you a lot more quickly. And here's what that order looks like. So Special Master Raymond Dearie responded and he said, look, Trump, I got your letter. I know you say that you were unhappy with what the prosecutors submitted to us, but to the extent that you say it's not fully accurate, any submission is now untimely pursuant to my order from October 7th, which said you have to submit your final positions by October 20th. Therefore, you have until no later than today, no later than the close of business today, which is October 21st, to submit your position. So previously, this was the order that the prosecutors submitted, and we talked about this yesterday, but just so everybody can sort of see it. This is what the government sent in. They said, hey, we met. This is our final answer. This is the list. Trump says this, and we say this. And they submitted all of this. Now, what we were reading through yesterday was this was their version of their sort of story, right? They gave us these 4 reasons why they say Trump is wrong, but they didn't include any reasons from the defense. They just said, these are our positions. And when we were reading through this yesterday, I thought that is a little bit weird. You know, they're not representing Trump's position. I was wondering if we were going to see Trump file something on top of this, but they were sort of running out of time. So they did. They actually did file. They say, we were expecting to get a copy of this before it got filed. They have all these reasons why Trump is wrong. We haven't had any opportunity to say why Trump is right and why they're wrong. And so the special master said, well, I don't know what you got confused about, but I said everything was due by the 20th. And so you've got by the close of business today, the 21st, to get it in. And it looks like they did do that. So let's take a look at now this document. Trump lawyers submit the letter to Special Master Raymond Dearie on October 21st. They skid it in late on a Friday. They say, Dear Judge Dearie, as articulated in your Special Master's order, we were supposed to confer and resolve these disputes. Now we have done that. And we have an updated log about the disputes for these documents, all the different boxes. Trump's lawyers communicate, they say. We met back on October 19th, and we discussed our respective positions. And the government identified certain documents that it said were personal to Trump, as reflected in their submission. But during that meeting between both parties, they say Trump's lawyers stated generally its position regarding personal records under the act. Both parties acknowledged that their positions regarding personal versus presidential could be waived by the incumbent administration, and whether it would require further briefing to the court. So they had a meeting and they're sort of loosely talking about these issues. But they say the log that was presented by the government here yesterday does not accurately reflect Trump's position as we discussed in the October 19th meeting. These shady prosecutors, man. Can you believe this crap? They just, that's whatever he said. We just type it all in there. And they just send it in. They say the government submission mischaracterizes Trump's position as to the following documents, a whole list of them. Document 8, Document 9, 11, and 12, and 13. And so therefore, we must clarify Trump's position accordingly. As to Document 8, Trump asserts a claim of privilege. Same with 9. They say 9, Trump is not asserting any privilege, but we did not agree that these documents should be designated presidential. So their list is not even right. Document 12, Trump asserts claims of executive privilege. Same with 13. 15, as the parties agree to personal records, right? We have this distinction between personal records and presidential records. We agree there is no further matter to resolve. As the parties agree to the personal records designation, there is also no further matter to resolve. They're saying if those are Trumps, they're Trumps. Now, the defense acknowledges, they say, we apologize for any confusion that the multiple filings from the respective parties cause. Again, plaintiff's counsel, meaning Trump's lawyers, was surprised that the government did not attempt to confirm the contents of its log to ensure the parties' positions were accurately represented. Wow, these prosecutors are something else. It's pretty amazing. So, for example, let me get like a very basic example. There's a procedure in criminal law called a motion to continue. You've got a pretrial conference coming up. We've got a scheduling conflict. Defense attorney is going to be in trial. Prosecutors having a baby, whatever. We can't do it on that day. We need a motion to continue. It's just a rescheduling, just like you reschedule a lunch. Before you file even that, you reach out to the prosecutor and you say, hey, what's your position on these things? And then you include that in the motion. I talked to the prosecutor. He doesn't object to this. You put that in there. And you confirm these things. The prosecution apparently didn't do that. They just said, well, this is what they say about 15. I think he said it was presidential, no privilege. And it doesn't matter to us anyways. We're the DOJ. Special master's going to be gone as soon as the 11th Circuit comes down anyways. And so what do we care? And so just type it in, send it in. And they did. They didn't even show it to them. So the defense says, Judge, hello? What the hell? The above discrepancies could have been addressed prior to any submission. We will be happy to represent Trump's positions ourselves, and we'll confer with the defendant for a briefing schedule on the substance of those arguments. And going forward, they say Trump's counsel will not assume that orders requiring submissions, quote, from the parties means a jointly drafted document. Oh, yes, that's just so good. So good. Oh, it's so good. Sorry, Judge, I'm using your language. You said from the parties. You didn't get anything from the parties. You got something from the prosecution that said it was from the parties, but they never even showed it to us in the first place. Those scumbags. And so he's quoting them as he's saying, in the future, we're just going to consider your orders that when you say from the parties to just not mean what you say. Oh, that's good. I like that right there. Good stuff. Because the judge was doing the same thing to them, right? The judge just did that to them. I don't know if you saw this or caught that, but let me just show you again. He said here, this is from the judge. He says, I know you're sending me stuff in the docket, but deadline was yesterday and you didn't object. You didn't bring any of those things. So he says, as I said, right? He's saying, as I wrote, follow my language is what the judge is saying. Follow it. I wrote it. Don't question my language. And so they're kind of shoving that down his face again. They're saying, okay, Judge, yeah, we were following your language. We presumed when you said from the parties, you meant from the parties. The prosecution didn't do that. They just sent it from the prosecution. They didn't include us in it. So I guess if you're not going to scold them, if you're not going to tell the prosecution that they should send us copies, then we'll just interpret your rules the opposite of what you wrote. Beautiful. Love it. Outstanding. Great work from James Trusty. Clearing the record on this because it sort of looks like that they were getting scolded by the judge, right? The judge said, oh, you missed a deadline and you're supposed to get this thing filed. And there's a bunch of knuckleheads on Twitter who are making that argument right now. Oh, look at Trump's lawyers. They can't even file any documents on time. They're all missing deadlines and blah, blah, blah. No, these corrupt prosecutors didn't even show them the filing before it got submitted. Jerks. What a joke. Anyway, so that's from the government prosecutors. And we have now, we've got a couple more stories before we wrap it up and take a look at your super chats. But apparently, there's more leaks because the DOJ is extremely, extremely leaky. The Department of Justice continues to drip news out to the Washington Post. They tell us that they don't do this, but they do very conveniently week after week, right during election season. They report in an exclusive that they got directly from the DOJ. Nobody else got it. They've got inside people over there. They write that Mar-a-Lago apparently had classified papers involving secrets about Iran and China. We'll see. They write that some of the classified documents that were recovered by the FBI include highly sensitive intelligence about Iran and China. Now, they said the same thing about North Korea, but those turned out to be letters, evidently, that, as far as we can tell, don't have any nuclear materials in them, but we don't know. According to people familiar with the matter, they say that this, if shared with others, could expose intelligence gathering methods that the U.S. has kept hidden from the world. At least one of the documents seized by the FBI describes Iran's missile program, according to these people, all of them speaking on condition of anonymity. Other documents described as a highly sensitive intelligence work aimed at China, they said. All right. Unauthorized disclosure could risk the country. People aiding U.S. intelligence efforts could be damaged. Classified materials are considered among the most sensitive ever recovered. And all of this is on the back of him being subpoenaed. Trump claimed that there was no wrongdoing. He denied all of it in an interview, saying that he can think about declassifying things and it does it. Who could ever trust a corrupt, weaponized agency like NARA, Trump said. True, it's a great point. Some of these materials were received by the corrupt FBI, and so you see the story. Now, it's just, right, they take one little newsy bit and they write a whole article about the president, and every single bit is just meant to sort of castigate him and put him in a bad light, which is what they do. Trump responded to some of this stuff on True Social. He said, the FBI and the Department of Justice, which paid a man $200,000 to spy on me and offered a $1 million bounty to try and prove a totally made up and fake dossier about me, saying they went down in flames. They are now leaking nonstop on the document hoax to the fake news, which is what they did. They sent this over to the Washington Post. He says, who could ever trust a corrupt, weaponized agency like NARA, who disrespects our Constitution and Bill of Rights to keep and safeguard any records, especially since they've lost millions and millions of pages of information from previous presidents? Also, who knows what NARA and the FBI planted into the documents or subtracted from the documents, saying, we'll never know, will we? Donald Trump on True Social fighting back against the FBI and their corrupt raid of his residence. We'll continue to follow. We'll see what the 11th Circuit has to say about this when they make a ruling. We know the U.S. government is already appealing this. They do not want the special master refereeing over this case. They say, we're the DOJ. We are perfect the way we are. Leave us alone. But we will continue to cover it and follow it. I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing and liking this video. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.